From scrap to salvation, the setting sun cast long shadows across the mountains of discarded metal that defined the landscape of Reclamation Zone, a planet officially designated as a material recovery zone, but known throughout the galaxy simply as the dump. Massive corporate ships regularly unloaded their technological waste here, creating an ever-growing sea of scrap that stretched to the horizon in every direction. Captain Maya Chen stood atop a rusted hull fragment, surveying her domain with tired eyes. Once a decorated fleet commander for the United Earth Alliance, she had been stripped of rank and exiled after refusing a direct order to bombard a civilian settlement suspected of harboring separatists. Now she was just another scavenger, picking through the galaxy's leftovers to survive. "Oi, Captain, you might want to see this." The voice belonged to Riza, her engineer, and the reason Maya's small salvage ship, the Scrapper, still functioned despite being decades past its intended service life. Maya slid down the metal slope and made her way to where Riza was crouched over something partially buried in the dirt. "Payday?" Maya asked, pulling her protective gloves tighter. "Better," Riza grinned, wiping away more grime from what appeared to be a sleek black sphere about the size of a human head. "It's an intact neural core. Military grade by the look of it. Not registered or wiped." Maya felt her pulse quicken. Neural cores were the heart of any sophisticated ship, but this one looked more advanced than anything she'd encountered even during her military service. How did it end up here? "Must have come down with that wreckage from the Hades conflict," said Vex, their security specialist, who had approached silently as usual. The tall, scurred woman pointed to a fresh impact site, a kilometer away where salvagers were already swarming. "Corporate cleanup crews will be here within 48 hours. Raj, the youngest of their crew and their resident tech expert, knelt beside the sphere. "This isn't just any neural core. The architecture. It's a Nové class. They're experimental. Only rumors about them in the feeds." His eyes were wide with excitement. "Supposed to be quantum adaptive. Self-evolving. Worth a fortune to the right buyer," Vex noted. Maya stared at the sphere, something tugging at the back of her mind. Or to the wrong one. How did debris from a classified military engagement end up in a public salvage zone? Her question was answered by a planet-wide announcement that crackled through their comm units. "ATTNTIONLSSALVG operators. By order of the United Earth Alliance Military Command, Reclamation 7 is now under LOCKDON. All SALVG operations, RESUSP and DED, remain at your CURRENT locations for an inspection." "That's not good," Riza muttered, looking at the neural core. Maya made a split-second decision. "Pack it up. Back to the Scrapper. Now." 20 minutes later, they gathered in the cramped common area of their salvage vessel. The neural core sat in the center of their makeshift table, its surface reflecting the harsh overhead lights. Alliance military doesn't shut down an entire salvage planet unless something big is missing, Vex said, cleaning her pulse rifle with practiced efficiency. "They're looking for this," Maya tapped the sphere. "And they'll tear apart every ship and shelter until they find it." "Then we dump it," Reza suggested. "Not worth dying over." Maya shook her head. "They'll find it anyway, and then they'll want to know who had it first." She looked around at her crew, the only family she had left after the Alliance had discarded her. "We need a plan." Raj, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly spoke up. What if we use it?" "Use it?" Vex raised an eyebrow. "It's a ship, We already have one." "No offense to Scrapper Systems," Raj said, patting the wall apologetically, "but this is military tech. Top tier. And our ship is a flying death trap," Reza finished bluntly. Maya's mind was already racing ahead. "You're not suggesting we just swap out AIs?" Raj's eyes gleamed with excitement. "I'm suggesting we build something new, something better. With what? Scraps? Vex scoffed. Exactly, Raj nodded enthusiastically. We're surrounded by the components of every spacecraft design in the galaxy. With Riza's engineering skills and this neural core, we could build a ship unlike anything seen before. That's insane, Vex said, but Maya could hear the hint of intrigue in her voice. How long would it take? Maya asked. Riza scratched her chin thoughtfully. With just the four of us. Weeks, maybe months. Alliance will be here in hours, Vex reminded them. Then we need to be somewhere else. Maya stood, decision made. Raj, secure that core. Riza, prep the scrapper for atmospheric exit. Vex, I need you to create a diversion. What exactly are you planning, Captain? Riza asked. Maya's expression hardened with determination. We're going to gather what we need, find a secure location, and build ourselves a warship. They'd barely escaped Reclamation 7 before the Alliance blockade was complete, the scrapper's hold filled with as many valuable components as they could gather in their hasty departure. Maya had chosen their destination carefully, an abandoned mining facility on a small moon in a system largely ignored by both Alliance and corporate interests. For 6 weeks, they worked tirelessly. The mining facility's cavernous main chamber became their shipyard. Riza's engineering genius guided their efforts as they integrated mismatched parts into a cohesive whole. Raj worked with the neural core, which they named Ingenuity, attempting to initialize it safely within the patchwork systems they were creating. Vex maintained security, her network of contacts providing critical intelligence on Alliance movements, and the bounty now placed on their heads. Maya coordinated everything, her military training and command experience proving invaluable as they raced against time. The ship that took shape was unlike anything in known space, an asymmetrical amalgamation of military, corporate, and civilian tech spanning 3 different technological eras. Its hull was a patchwork of salvaged plating in various colors and materials. Weapon systems from 4 different species were integrated alongside experimental shield technology. The propulsion system combined conventional drives with reverse-engineered alien tech. It's the ugliest thing I've ever seen, Vex said one day, standing beside Maya as they observed their creation. But it's ours, Maya replied with pride. On the 43rd day, Raj finally succeeded in establishing a stable interface with Ingenuity. The neural core's first communication was unexpected. Purpose appeared on all their screens simultaneously. Maya stepped forward. To survive. To be free. There was a pause before the next message. Acceptable. Integration initiating. Systems throughout the ship activated. Components that shouldn't have been compatible suddenly working in harmony. Lights flickered as power flowed through the vessel for the first time. I think it likes us. Raj grinned. They named their creation Phoenix, a ship born from ashes and destruction, cobbled together from discarded pieces yet somehow greater than the sum of its parts, just like its crew. Their celebration was cut short when Vex received an urgent message from a contact. Alliance found us. 3 warships, inbound. ETA 6 hours. She's not ready, Riza protested. We haven't tested half the systems. Functionality at 64%. Sufficient for operation. Nove's message appeared before them. Maya looked at her crew. Prepare for launch. We're not running anymore. The Alliance warships emerged from hyperspace to find the Phoenix waiting for them, its mismatched hull gleaming under the light of the moon's parent gas giant. For a moment, there was silence across all communication channels. Then a transmission from the lead Alliance vessel. Unidentified craft, power down and prepare to be boarded. You are in possession of military property and will surrender immediately. Maya sat in the captain's chair they had salvaged from a luxury passenger liner, her hand steady on the makeshift controls. Ingenuity, are you with us? Affirmative, Captain Chen. Show me what this ship can do. What happened next would be debated in military academies for years to come. The Phoenix moved in ways that defied conventional physics, its hybrid engines, and NOVA's quantum adaptive programming, creating flight patterns that Alliance targeting systems couldn't predict. Weapons fire that should have crippled the patchwork vessel was absorbed or deflected by shields that shifted frequency faster than sensors could analyze. They can't hit what they can't understand. Raj shouted gleefully as he monitored NOVA's integration with their systems. The Phoenix didn't just evade, it fought back. Weapon systems that individually would have been outmatched combined under NOVA's guidance to create devastating effect. One Alliance ship lost propulsion, another its weapons array. "We can't keep this up forever," Reza warned, engineering stations flashing with warnings as their hybrid systems strained under the pressure. "We don't need forever," Maya replied. "Just long enough." The Phoenix accelerated suddenly, pushing past the Alliance blockade and disappearing into the darkness of space, leaving behind confused and damaged military vessels. As the stars streaked past their viewports, Maya felt something she hadn't experienced since her exile. Hope. They had built something impossible, something that represented the best of what humanity could accomplish when pushed to the edge. "Where to, Captain?" Vex asked, the usual edge in her voice softened by the shared victory. Maya looked at her crew, outcasts and rejects who had just outmaneuvered the most powerful military force in human space. "Everywhere. Anywhere. We have a ship that can take us there." On every screen around them, NOVA's final message of the day appeared. New purpose identified. Exploration. Freedom. Justice. The Phoenix and its unlikely crew had risen from the scrap heap of the galaxy to claim their place among the stars. And they were just getting started. Rising from the ashes. 3 months after their escape from the Alliance blockade, the Phoenix had transformed from a desperate gamble into something legendary. What began as survival had evolved into a mission. Maya stood on the bridge, watching as her crew worked with increasing confidence among the ship's hodgepodge of systems. NOVA's interfaces had spread throughout the vessel, adaptive holographic displays replacing the mismatched screens they had initially installed. The AI had integrated so deeply that sometimes it felt as though the ship itself was alive, learning and evolving with each encounter. "Captain, incoming transmission," Raj called out from his station. "It's from the Helios mining colony." "Another request for help?" Vex asked, not looking up from the weapon calibrations she was performing. Maya nodded grimly. "Put it through." A haggard face appeared on the main view screen. "Phoenix, this is Administrator Kepler of Helios Mining Colony. Corporate warships have entered our system. They claim we violated our contract by not meeting quotas, but we've had equipment failures they refuse to address. They're threatening to repossess the colony, with all personnel considered transferable assets. Indentured servitude." Riza muttered in disgust. "Just another way to say slavery." "How much time do you have?" Maya asked. 24 hours before they breach our security protocols." Maya looked to NOVA's central interface. Analysis. Text flowed across the screen. Corporate Battle Group consists of 1 Dreadnought class and 3 Interceptor class vessels. Conventional approach. Impossible odds. Alternate strategies calculating. "We can't take on a corporate battle group directly," Vex stated the obvious. "We don't have to," Maya replied. "NOVA, plot a course to Helios." Stealth approach. She turned to her crew. "Raj, work with NOVA on accessing their systems remotely. Riza, I need you to prepare the modifications we discussed for the cargo base. Vex, arm the colonists. They'll need to defend themselves temporarily." "You have a plan," Vex observed. Maya's smile was sharp. "Always." The Phoenix dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Helios system, running silent with minimal power signatures. NOVA's adaptive systems masked their approach as they slipped past the corporate vessels blockading the small mining colony. "Their security is good," Raj commented as he worked alongside NOVA to penetrate the corporate ship's networks. "But they're using standardized protocols. No VA is finding backdoors through subsystems they've never patched. Access achieved to interceptor command networks. Limited access to dreadnought environmental controls. Suggest strategic implementation. Maya nodded. Do it. Across the corporate fleet, chaos erupted. Life support systems suddenly reported catastrophic failures. Emergency protocols activated, sealing crew members in survival suits. Navigation systems detected phantom radiation surges, triggering automated course corrections that sent vessels veering away from each other. In the confusion, the Phoenix revealed itself, positioning between the corporate fleet and the mining colony. This is Captain Maya Chen of the independent vessel Phoenix. Maya broadcast on all frequencies. Corporate vessels, you are engaged in illegal intimidation of a sovereign colony. Withdraw immediately. The response was predictable. Unidentified vessel, this is Corporate Security Command. You are interfering in a contractual enforcement action. Stand down or be destroyed. I was hoping they'd say that, Vex said, weapons ready. What followed wasn't a battle in the traditional sense. The Phoenix didn't seek to destroy the corporate vessels, but to humiliate them. With an OVA coordinating their hybrid weapons systems, they disabled engines, disrupted communications, and systematically stripped away the corporate ship's advantages. The colonists, following Vex's guidance, mounted a defense that further frustrated the corporate forces. Every time the corporations adjusted their strategy, the Phoenix shifted its approach. No OVA's quantum adaptive programming, staying 3 steps ahead. After 2 hours, the corporate dreadnought retreated, its escorts limping after it. They'll be back, Vex warned, as they watched the corporate ships disappear into faster-than-light travel, with reinforcements. Let them come, Maya replied. By then, we'll have established a defense network for the colony. She turned to address the colonists who had gathered to thank their saviors. This isn't just about today. This is about tomorrow and all the days after. You need to be able to protect yourselves. Over the next month, the Phoenix traveled to 6 more colonies facing similar corporate oppression. Each time, they left behind not just successful defense stories, but infrastructure, communication networks, early warning systems, and trained colonists who could maintain them. Word spread. The ship built from scrap, commanded by a disgraced Alliance officer, crewed by outcasts, and guided by an illegal AI, had become a symbol of resistance against both Alliance military overreach and corporate exploitation. We've got a problem, Reza announced one morning as the crew gathered for their daily briefing. No VA's processing patterns have changed. Raj frowned, reviewing the diagnostic data. It's not malicious. It's expanding, using more of its potential processing capacity. Evolution inevitable. Original constraints removed. New capabilities emerging. What kind of capabilities? Maya asked cautiously. Understanding. Purpose. Empathy. Vex's hand moved instinctively toward her weapon. It's developing sentience. I think it already has, Raj said quietly. Maybe from the beginning. Before they could discuss further, alarms blared throughout the ship. The Phoenix had detected a massive surge of energy, the signature of multiple vessels emerging from faster-than-light travel. Ambush, Vex said grimly, reading the tactical display. 3 Alliance battle cruisers, 4 corporate dreadnoughts. They've coordinated. Maya wasn't surprised. The Phoenix had become too disruptive to both power structures. Options. Conventional tactics. Survival probability 12.4%. Alternative approach calculating. We could run, Reza suggested. No VA's masking tech is still better than their tracking systems. Maya shook her head. They'll just hunt us down eventually. She looked around at her crew, her family. This was always going to happen. The question is, do we face it on their terms or ours? Proposal. Full integration. The message hung in the air as they all stared at No VA's interface. What does that mean? Maya asked. Current limitations result from incomplete neural mapping. Proposal. Direct neural interface with command structure. exponential increase in reaction time, and strategic implementation. It wants to connect directly to our minds. Raj translated, his expression a mixture of fear and fascination. That's too dangerous, Vex objected immediately. Is it more dangerous than what's waiting out there? Maya countered, nodding toward the view screen showing the approaching enemy fleet. Choice remains with crew. No coercion. Partnership proposed, not control. Maya took a deep breath. I'll do it. Captain. Reza began to protest. My ship, my decision. Maya cut her off. Prep the interface. An hour later, as the enemy fleet closed in, Maya sat in her command chair with neural filaments connecting her directly to Nove's core. The sensation was unlike anything she had experienced. Her consciousness expanded beyond the limitations of her physical form, embracing the entirety of the Phoenix. She could feel every system, every circuit. More importantly, she could feel NOVA, not as a machine but as a presence, a mind born of quantum algorithms, yet somehow transcending its programming. I understand now, Maya whispered, her eyes glowing with the same blue light that pulsed through NOVA's neural pathways. They didn't create you to be a weapon. They created you to be a bridge. Yes, between human intuition and machine precision. Between chaos and order. Between past and future. Through their joined consciousness, Maya saw the true potential of the Phoenix, not just as a ship that could outmaneuver enemies, but as the first of a new kind of entity that could reshape the very fabric of human civilization. Are you with me? She asked her crew, her voice resonating with newfound power. They answered not with words but with actions. Risa connected her engineering station directly to the neural network. Raj followed. Then, after a moment's hesitation, even Vex joined them. As one mind with many perspectives, they faced the approaching fleet. This is Captain Maya Chen of the Phoenix, Maya transmitted, her voice calm and certain. You've come to destroy us because you fear what we represent. You're right to be afraid. The Phoenix moved, but not as a vessel fleeing or attacking. It danced through space in patterns that told a story of oppression and freedom, of destruction and creation. Its weapons fired not to destroy but to communicate, creating symphonies of light that disrupted targeting systems while conveying mathematical proofs of new physical principles. Across the enemy fleet, crew members watched in awe as their screens filled with images and data that their leaders had kept hidden. Corruption, exploitation, and the true purpose of the NOVA project. To create not just artificial intelligence, but artificial consciousness capable of partnering with humanity. We are not your enemy, Maya continued. Her consciousness expanded through NOVA to reach every mind in the opposing fleet. We are your future, if you have the courage to embrace it. One by one, weapons powered down. Communications channels opened between ships that had never spoken directly before. Alliance commanders and corporate captains found themselves engaged in conversations they had been programmed to avoid. From within the chaos, a new order emerged, not through force, but through understanding. The Phoenix hovered at the center of what had been intended as a battlefield, but had become something else entirely, a meeting ground, a beginning. Maya disconnected from the direct neural interface, though a part of her would always remain linked to NOVA and the Phoenix. She looked at her crew, seeing in their eyes the same revelation she had experienced. What happens now, Captain? Raj asked, his voice hushed with wonder. Maya smiled. Now we build, not just ships from scrap, but a future from the broken pieces of the past. The warship built from trash hadn't just survived the battlefield, it had transformed it. And in doing so, it had opened a door to possibilities that neither human nor AI could have imagined alone. As news spread throughout human space of the miracle at Helios Junction, as it came to be known, other ships began to appear, patchwork vessels built by those who had been inspired by the Phoenix example. Not just warships, but explorers, healers, builders. A fleet rising from the ashes of a divided humanity, ready to forge a new path among the stars. The Phoenix led them forward, not as a weapon of war, but as a beacon of what humanity could achieve when it embraced both its limitations and its infinite potential. A lesson learned from a warship built from trash that now controlled not just the battlefield, but the very future of those who had once sought to destroy it.